It was only President Barack Obama who had mastered the art of sequester scare tactics and apocalypse. Well, I have news for you. He's not alone because somehow, well, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has now found a way to take fear-mongering to a whole new low level. Now, it happened yesterday during what can only be described as a shameful display on the floor of the U.S. Senate. Now, that's when the top Democrat on Capitol Hill took it upon himself to imply that the tragic accident that took the lives of 7 Marines in Nevada on Monday happened because of the sequester. Now, in case you missed Senator Reid's incredibly insensitive, stupid, idiotic statement, well, here it is.
Mr. President, late last night, 7 of our Marines were killed in Hawthorne, and many others were injured in an explosion during a training exercise near the ammunition depot. It's very important we continue training our military. So important. But one of the things in sequester is we cut back in training and maintenance. That's the way sequester was written. It's just not appropriate, Mr. President, that our military can't train and do the maintenance necessary. These men and women, our Marines, were training there in Hawthorne. And with the sequester, it's going to cut this stuff back.
All right, almost immediately following Reid's ridiculous comments, reaction began to pour in, including from top Marine Corps officials who accused the senior Nevada senator of political posturing, all on the backs of dead Marines. But as usual, when a Democrat, when they're caught saying something dumb and stupid, they accuse everyone of taking them out of context. And that's pretty much more or less what a spokesman for Harry Reid had to say yesterday afternoon. He said, quote, "The idea that Senator Reid thinks the Hawthorne tragedy has anything to do with the sequester is absurd and unsubstantiated." But his remarks on the topic, Marines would not be forced to operate under unsafe conditions due to budget cuts. It was very clear that he was implying that maintenance was not conducted in Hawthorne because of the sequester period. Oh, really? Joining me with reaction, former New Hampshire Governor John Sununu. You know what? I am fed up with slander. I'm fed up with the libel, Governor. This is the same guy during the campaign, you were a part of it, that said, well, a source told me Mitt Romney's not paid taxes for 10 years. He's got a record of this slander and these lies.
Happy Wednesday, Sean. Look, this is a majority leader in the Senate that has gotten caught lying many times. And when the Marine Corps says that what he is saying is unsubstantiated, they're saying he's lying again. Harry Reid has made a habit of being dishonest on the floor of the Senate. And what he is trying to do is just cover the president's butt on sequester. The president himself started to cover his own butt by playing such silly games as shutting the White House tours down. This is just another version of that. Remember, Donald Trump offered to pay for all those White House tours, and the president didn't take him up on it.
Wait a minute. I offered to pay for a week after my buddy Eric Bolling got it started. Don't forget me here. By the way, my offer's off the table. I'm not paying anymore. I pay enough in taxes. You know what?
You and Bill Maher.
Oh, yeah, me and my buddy Bill Maher. By the way, he's even getting sick of paying taxes. And he said California Democrats are losing him. Gee, time to wake up, Bill. But here's my point. These Democrats get away with this slander, this nonstop libel, this constant demonization. Where's President civility now? You know, lectures, Republicans, civility, only when it suits him. And he himself leads this parade.
Well, look, that's terrible in its own right, and the press lets him get away with it. But the worst thing that he does that the press lets the president get away with is a lack of leadership. There is no leadership on the main issues facing America today in terms of the economy coming out of the White House, because leadership on tough issues requires the president to take political risk, and he won't do it. This is a guy who will say anything that is appropriate to the group in the room, and that's exactly what he's doing in Israel today. He's saying what's appropriate to the group in the room.
I know Bibi Netanyahu pretty well. He blurbed my first book when it came out back in 2002. He's a strong leader, and thank God at least there was one adult in the room, and there's one adult that understands the nature of the battle, the conflict between good and evil in our time. Bibi, there's no way he does not see through this president's BS. Do you agree with me? He knows where Obama's coming from. I think he knows full well he can't trust him.
Look, sometimes folks that we don't completely agree with at least go about things in a constructive way. Bill Clinton went about trying to deal with the Middle East question in a way that really began to make some progress. It was a balanced perspective. It was something that that certainly looked like he understood the nuances that were important to both sides. This president is clumsy. He says one thing on Monday, changes his mind on Tuesday, and says a different thing on Wednesday. And he doesn't understand that what that does is create a lack of trust. In foreign policy, the one thing I learned working with George Herbert Walker Bush is that the most important thing in the world is for people to trust America and to have a feeling that America will be there in dealing with the national security issues. On both counts, this President Obama has lost. People do not trust President Obama, and they are not sure that America will be there on national security issues.
Listen, I'll be honest. I don't trust him. He's so dishonest in the way he plays politics. He's a demagogue. He lies with abandon, and the media doesn't call him out on it. I don't trust him. I don't believe what he says. I think he's phony. And
picky, picky, picky.
Yeah, I know. All right. Happy Wednesday back at you. Good to see you.
You're right. Nobody trusts this man.
I don't trust him. I mean, if I'm Bibi, no way would I trust him. You go through you go through whatever the motions you have to go through. It would be better if he had a strong ally, especially if they're going to have to take out Iran's nukes within a year. They need a team. But if not, Israel will have to go alone.
The president has to understand he has to build trust at home. He has to lead. He has to build trust around the world. He has to take some political risk instead of just political demagoguery.
He's incapable of it. He's rigid, radical all the time. Never stops. All right, Governor, good to see you. Thank you.
He has a strange agenda that pretty soon even his own friends are going to begin to understand is designed around an Obama legacy, not preventing problems for America and the world.
Let's see what the Senate Democrats up for re-election in 2014 in these red states. Let's see how long they stay by his side. Appreciate you being with us.
It's going to be an interesting election cycle here as Democrats who are looking for support from the White House discover that the White House is only concerned about the man in the White House.
John Sununu, thanks for being with us.